As well, and I've tried painting. It's actually trying to draw out what's in your mind. You know, like you said, at the core of everything, it's a story. It's actually trying to draw out what's in your mind and represent that as accurately on film. That I suppose that's the biggest challenge. How have you found? I'm curious about environment because. As you've probably experienced here in the UK, outside, it's very temperamental. And I'm just curious about your experience of working on location in the Caribbean, how well it is. Is it easier than you've experienced in the UK? Because here, light moves constantly.
Right, right. I think so in the UK the light is different. I mean
Yeah.
it's a softer light to begin with.
Right.
So in terms of the cloud cover and the
Yeah.
direct exposure to the sky,
Yeah.
the light is softer, and because of the position, the light also changes at a slower pace,
I see. Right. Right.
right? Because of where the UK is.
Yeah.
While in the Caribbean, you're in the middle of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
When it's midday, you're directly under the sun.
Yes, you're so
So
near the equator. Yeah.
right, so the shadows are sharper,
Uh-huh.
the light is brighter, and
Yes.
more, well, I guess more hot. But right now it's crazy, you know. Right now, I hear you guys are having summer uh,
Oh,
at some times
yeah.
when you
Well,
shouldn't be having.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Anyway.
obviously, we're both from an island, but England or the UK, we can have
Yeah.
4 seasons in a day. So
Okay.
you can take your umbrella out and you'll get
Hmm.
hailstones in the morning, and then you can end with sunlight, and you just don't know where you're going to be. And I guess that
Okay.
really does determine, um,
Right.
how you tell a story on location. Because it would
Yeah.
be wonderful to work on location, but you've got equipment, you've got to be worried, you've got to be concerned about moisture and light and how it works with everything. And I found that
Yeah.
was that wasn't such a challenge when I worked in Bahrain and I made some films
Mm-hmm.
in Bahrain. I think it was
Hmm.
just the heat and humidity, because the
Okay.
sunlight, it was so near the equator, so the
Yeah.
sunlight was quite
Uh-huh.
steady. So you
Yeah.
knew at 6 o'clock it was going to get dark, and at 6 in the morning it was going to be light. So you had a bit of
Yeah.
stability. Um,
Uh-huh.
but here in the UK, it's quite tricky to
Yeah.
get.
And you have what they call the golden hour, which
Yes.
is for me it's 1 hour. It's like it's really dramatic, or it might be 45 minutes of
Yeah.
beautiful golden light, and it changes
Yes.
dramatically.
Yeah.
While for you it would be 2 or maybe 2 hours, no? Sometimes, depending on what time
Yeah.
of the year. Yeah.
And depends, the cloud cover. I mean, that's the thing that
Yeah.
I think I am beginning to understand, because obviously I shoot everything
Mm-hmm.
myself, but I'm trying
Mm-hmm.
to consider the cinematography, and you have to factor that in. Even if you're shooting indoors, the
Yeah.
light coming in, you've got that tungsten light, because obviously
Mm-hmm.
I've got to. It's
Yeah.
what time is it now? It's like 1:30 in the UK, but I
Right.
have to blast it with light because if the cloud cover comes over, the room goes to
Mm-hmm.
darkness. So
Right.
it,
Right.
it does, when you're making film, you have to kind
Mm-hmm.
of consider everything, because you can have a lovely shot and then it just gets dark, and it either works with the narrative or it doesn't necessarily.
Right. I mean, but you would want to control it depending on what you're doing, because in when it comes to the editing now and it goes
Yeah.
on the screen, and then the thing that I mentioned before, the mise en scène,
Yes.
like like everything in the frame says something. So if
Yeah.
the light suddenly goes down, then that's communicating something,
Yes.
because film has a visual language happening,
Mm-hmm.
just like English that has its rules, and this means this and this implies this.
Yes.
So you have to know how to use it and when to use it, you know?
Absolutely. And there's
And
only
when you
so
uh
much you can do in post editing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, and
Um,
you don't want to have to, because
change
in a
daylight to night. Yeah.
yeah, in a real situation, like if you have the light go down on a shot,
Yeah.
depending on which camera you shoot with, maybe you could fix it, but
Yeah.
then you may have to hire somebody else or invest more time into fixing it, which is not ideal.
It's
It's
not
it's
ideal.
best if you do it properly from the beginning.
Yeah.
It's not ideal to have to like fix these crazy things in
Yeah.
post.
And
I know.
it's very difficult. I think I worked with the light and the dark when I shot the silent film in Bahrain, and it was a black and white film because where my protagonists,
Hmm.
where there was just complete darkness, I just used that as part of the script to show,
Right. Hmm.
the anatomy of what was called the anatomy of sensation, so that journey into his soul as he was searching
Right.
for his son. So like you said, you're so right, you can utilize
Mm-hmm.
that darkness, you can tweak it into the storyline. So what you
Yeah.
think, like, oh, everything's placed really nicely, oh, and then the sun's going down, it doesn't have to
Hmm.
be a disadvantage,
Yeah.
and that can
It
add to
doesn't
your
have to be. Yeah. Yeah.
signature and style. But
Yeah.
that's really
But
fascinating.
it's not, like on bigger productions, you want to control everything.
Oh,
Everything is controlled.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Just
And
you
it's
you put HMIs out the window so that you don't need the sun, and
yeah,
you control the light coming through the window. Everything is controlled.
yeah, and
Like,
that must be
yeah.
such a pleasure. When I was part of the, well, sort of the wider facilitators for Harry Potter,
Uh-huh.
1, 2, and 3, um, and you go to the studios and you see them in the big studios. No, it was Johnny English. It was the first time I went to
Okay.
Shepperton Studios, and
Right.
you just don't think about it, but it's fascinating because you can recreate another world when you're in those
Yeah.
studios. You
Yeah.
can control the sound, you can control the temperature, because everything you have to work with the actor. So if the actor's cold, they're not going to give the performance, as it's all these little things. So yeah, there
Well,
is such an appreciation for working in a controlled facility as a
yeah, there's
stage.
appreciation for budget.
Oh my goodness me, yeah, because you can just keep
'Cause,
shooting and shooting and shooting.
well, yeah, I knew you could control everything. And
Absolutely,
yeah.
and that's one of the things I would love to experience. A really controlled environment and what you can produce from that.